What is up, guys? Welcome back to Savage Rounds with Xavier. Today for you, I've got the UFC Vegas 78 Luque versus RDA matchups video for you. We're going Damon Blackshear, Martin Buday, T-Rex, Terrence McKinney, Marcus McGee, Yasmin Lucindo, Khalil Roundtree, Hakeem Dawodu, Cub Swanson, RDA, and Vicente Luque. There were some real good performances. I talked about those in the recap yesterday. Go check that out if you didn't see it. And I think I've made some pretty fun and good matchups for these guys. Also, later today, same day as this comes out, I will have a recap and matchups also for the second week of Dana White's Contender Series. But let's get into this. We've got Damon Blackshear. He just had his really good performance over Jose Johnson, who stepped in on short notice. Damon Blackshear was able to get him out of there in round one with a submission, and it was the third twister in UFC history. So, pretty dominant and spectacular performance from him. Just kind of moving up. He's got 4 fights in the UFC now. He's only lost 1, 2 wins, a draw, and a loss. So he'll just kind of keep looking to climb up the rankings, try and get towards. Oh shit! Wait, he has a fight. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Savage Rounds with Xavier. Today for you, I've got the UFC Vegas 78 matchups video. We're doing all the fighters you see on screen, with I'll let you look at them for a second, but with the exception of Damon Blackshear, I had a matchup picked out for him, which I'll show you right now. He got that great win over Jose Johnson, who stepped in on short notice, dominant for Blackshear. He was able to get him out of there, round 1 submission, the third twister in UFC history. So it was a pretty spectacular finish, really good performance from him. I had him to go up against Brian Boom Kelleher. I thought this would kind of be a good next step up. Boom, he's good on the feet, got big power in his hands, and he's a solid grappler himself. So I thought this would have been an interesting matchup. But it turns out Damon Blackshear is jumping in to fight Mario Bautista on just about 7 days' notice. He fought, as you can see, last weekend. We're making a matchups video for him. And now he's fighting in Boston against Mario Bautista. Cody Garbrandt, I don't know what the injury is or what the reason is that he pulled out. I'm assuming it's an injury, but he wasn't able to make it to the cage. So pretty sick to see Blackshear going back-to-back. I'll talk about it more tomorrow, when I do my predictions and bets video, now that Blackshear's on the card, so we'll talk more about that. But I thought Boom Kelleher would have been good. Now we get Mario Bautista, even better in my opinion, and it's this weekend, so it'll just be interesting to see how the weight cut affects him. But like I said, we'll talk about that Thursday. Regardless, next up, we had Martin Buday. He's coming off of his first UFC finish, other than Contender Series, over Josh Parisian. He said he wasn't happy with any of his previous performances in the UFC. He went 3-0, all decisions. He wanted more. He came out guns blazing, got the finish. Really good stuff from Martin Buday. And I talked about it a little bit in the recap video. The heavyweight division is not very deep. There's not too many options to go with here. And on a 4-fight win streak, he seems to be growing into his position in the UFC, getting better and better, looking more aggressive now. I really think we should 4-0. Let's do it. Marcos Rogerio de Lima, he just lost against Derek Lewis, so he was fighting up in the rankings. He was on his own nice little win streak, so he got in the rankings and was getting to fight up. He loses in the first round by flying knee knockout to Derek Lewis really quickly. It was under 30 seconds or under 45 seconds. I think now he's got to defend his spot, and I feel like Buday makes sense. He's on the come up, 4-0, like I said. Let's get this one done. They could probably do it December or early next year. Just depends really on the medical suspension for De Lima, and I don't know how long he wants to take in between, but I feel like this is the next step for both guys. Next up, T-Rex. He came out and got it done versus Mike Breeden on short notice. He had just fought pretty recently and gotten submitted by Nazim Sadykhov after he looked solid in the first round. He got his arm trapped when Nazim took his back, so he really wasn't able to defend the choke, and Nazim sunk it in. T-Rex his only losses in the UFC so far are to really good opponents. I have it up. I'm finally prepared. But I have it up right here. In the UFC, he's only lost to Drew Dober, Ismail Bonfim, and Nazim Sadikov. So he's losing to really tough guys and beating all the guys around his level, or the guys he should beat. And I mean, obviously, the Matt Frivola in knockout in his UFC debut is aging pretty well. I don't know if that fight would go the same way if they fought again, but it's nice on his record now. I don't think there's any reason to toss him back into the fire against that level of opponents that he's consistently losing to. Fight a couple more guys in this range that he's fighting in now. I don't know, his area, Eric Gonzalez, Faris Ziam, Mike Breed, and that type of range. I think let him get on a little win streak before he starts to climb again. And that should be against Nicholas Mata. He is 1-2 in the UFC, I do believe. Let me see. Yeah, 1-2. Both losses are knockouts. He lost to Manuel Torres and Jim Miller, and he beat Cameron Van Camp. So if he signed a 4-fight deal, he's got one left on his contract. Obviously, he needs to get back in the win column. So he'll be fighting for his life, looking to knock out Terrence McKinney. And obviously, T-Rex will want to keep keep in the win column and try and start to build a win streak. So it'll be a good fight for both guys. I think it would be really entertaining and probably another quick finish for whoever gets the win. Next up, Marcus McGee. His UFC run so far has been really great. I'm pretty sure his first fight he took on short notice, where he beat Journey Newsom. He came in, looked really good in the first round, and was able to drop him in the second and then get the submission. And in this fight, JP Buys, a guy who had lost, I think it was 3 fights in a row and been dropped like 9 times over those 3 fights. So obviously his chin wasn't the best. Marcus McGee came out, looked patient, and was able to find his chin early in the first round. Or not early, a little bit, like halfway through the first round. And he got the knockout. He's looked really good, 2-0. Obviously, still no reason to toss him into the fire yet. I'd say he's a good prospect. I'd say, and he's still, I say prospect. What is he? He's 32 or 33, something like that. So he's not a prospect, but he's an up-and-comer. Not too many fights. I'd say let him get a couple more fights under his belt before he starts fighting the top of the top. And a guy I think would be like a really good step up would be Ricky Tercios. Obviously, he is looking to continue and try and build on his win against Kevin Natividad. He's 2-1 in the UFC if you include his Ultimate Fighter finale against Brady Hiestand, which that win now looks pretty good too. Lost to Ayman Zahabi by unanimous decision, where he didn't really throw anything in that fight. So obviously he'll be looking to continue his win streak. Same as Marcus McGee, both guys looking to take that step up into the next level of competition. And I think this is the fight. Whoever gets the win can do that. Next up, Yasmin Lucindo at, I believe, 21. Let me see. Yeah, she's still 21 years old. Made her debut against Yasmin Jauregui. Looked really good in a loss. Came out, got the win against Brogan Walker. And then now in this next fight comes out and I won't say steamrolls because Polyana had a little bit of success early. But it wasn't like a particularly difficult fight. She looked really good. Was able to beat Polyana Viana, which that is a step up in competition from Brogan Walker. So to prove she can fight with these kind of girls is pretty solid. And someone who I matched up not too long ago against Denise Gomes, I believe. If I'm not, I can't remember. It might have been Denise Gomes. It might not have been. Regardless, whoever I matched her up with, maybe it wasn't. I don't even know. Whoever I matched her up with ended up getting a fight. Maybe it was Denise Gomes, and that's why she fought recently. So I needed to pick somebody new. I'm going with Piera Rodriguez. She fought Jillian Robertson to try and get into the rankings. She was undefeated going into that fight. She loses. Now she's right outside the rankings. I think Yasmin Lucindo is right in that area as well. Whoever wins would probably need maybe one more fight, and then they could start looking towards the rankings. But regardless, 2 solid prospects. I think a win here would be big for either one of them. Next up, Khalil Roundtree. This is one where I'll say he steamrolled him. He ran right through, what's his name? Chris Daukaus. The guy was moving down a weight class after getting knocked out 3 times in a row up at heavyweight. comes down, loses his speed advantage, which was his biggest advantage up at heavyweight. And Khalil Roundtree was able to make it look easy. Obviously, Daukaus landed a couple hard shots, but nothing that really hurt. Khalil Roundtree just kind of let him know he was there, and then Khalil was able to land the big straight left at some point and put him out. I think next up for Khalil, he'll probably get to fight up in the rankings. He's on a nice little win streak now. I believe it's 4 in a row, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 4 in a row. 3 of them being finishes. One of them a split decision win over Dustin Jacoby, which I did think he lost, but it's a win on his record, so regardless. There's 2 options, I think, for him. Either one of these I'd be fine with. Option 1, which is the one I think a lot of people are saying, you could go with Dom Reyes. He hasn't looked good recently ever since that loss against John Jones. He hasn't really been able to collect himself and get it together and get back in the win streak, get back in the win column. He hasn't looked good at all. He's gotten knocked out in, I think, his last 3 fights, if I'm not mistaken. And obviously this is another spot where he could totally get knocked out, but all these big guys at light heavyweight could knock him out, so he's going to need to fight somebody. And this is probably, I don't want to say like his last straw, but it might be if he gets knocked out again and is on, what would this be, a 5-fight win streak, 4 knockouts in a row. I don't know. It'd be tough for him. It'd be a really tough spot. So I think this would be a good one for Khalil to fight up, and if he doesn't get Dom Reyes, I think Mirzakhanov would be fine too. He was supposed to be fighting Volkan Oezdemir, but he wasn't able to. Now Volkan Oezdemir's got some guy who's making his debut. I think Khalil Roundtree's ready to go, so they could probably get this one ready whenever Mirzakhanov is, if the injury wasn't too bad. Either way, I think it's a good spot for Khalil to fight up in the rankings, and it would be a good win either way. Next up, Hakeem Dawodu. This is if he gets another chance. I really don't know what his contract is, and I saw some people saying they think that might have been it. I don't really know. I don't have specifics of any sort. But we're just gonna assume he's fighting again. He'll get one more shot. I think obviously he'll be not fighting another guy at the level of Cub Swanson. He'll have to fight someone who's making their way up, and somebody who is kind of on the come up, has a few good UFC wins, and has also lost a couple fights. Let me see just to make sure. It might be just 1 loss. No, 3-2 in the UFC. So he's won some fights, lost to some tough guys in Mason Jones and Nate Landwehr, David Onama. I think this would be a really sick fight, and Hakeem really needs a win, so he would definitely need to get this, and if Onama is able to get it done, that would be a really good win on his record, and he would definitely get to take a step up. That would be 2 wins in a row for him if he's able to get it done, and I think this would be a fun fight. David Onama would bring the pressure and really make Hakeem fight, so I think that could be a fun one. Next up, the winner, who I don't think he beat Hakeem, but it was a really, really close fight, so I can't be too mad at the scorecards, but I did score it for Hakeem. I thought Hakeem won. Regardless, Cub Swanson gets the win. Even he didn't think he got the win, but like I said, it is what it is now. He has gone back and forth on wins and losses for a little bit now. He beat Pineda, lost to Chikadze, beat Darren Elkins, lost to Jonathan Martinez. Now he's back in the win column against Hakeem Dawodu. I think he should fight somebody who is kind of in, I don't want to say the same position as him, but has been bouncing back and forth between wins and losses, has been close to the rankings for a bit of time now, and is looking to finally break in. It would be a 2-fight win streak for this guy as well, if he's able to get the win. I believe he did win his last fight. Yeah, he just beat He just beat Damon Jackson, Billy Quarantillo. I think this would be a really fun fight. Maybe if Quarantillo wins, he'd be able to get another low-ranking attempt, a low-ranked fight. Maybe he would need one more. I think Cub Swanson would definitely need one more, but either way, a win would put one of these guys in a pretty good spot. Like I said, maybe a ranked fight, but definitely 1 or 2 away if they got this win. And it would be a solid name for Billy Q to have on his record, and for Cub Swanson, it would be a really tough win. It would be a victory that looked really good on his record against a tough guy. That's what I meant to say. Next up, RDA. I don't really know what his plans are at this point. He's in the 155-pound rankings, but he fought at 170 in his last fight, so I made 2 matchups, one for each weight class. If he is fighting back down at 155, which, like I said, I really have no clue. Matt Frivola is below him in the rankings and has looked pretty good recently. He recently knocked out Drew Dober, right before that Altman Azaitar, and before that Genaro Valdez, so he's on a pretty solid 3-fight win streak. I believe he's ranked 15, if I'm not mistaken. So he's obviously looking to fight up the rankings. RDA just lost up at 170. And I'm pretty sure I'm not 100% sure. Let me pull it up real quick. But if I'm not mistaken, he did lose his last outing at 155 pounds. Obviously, before this, he beat Barberena. Yeah, he lost to Fiziev. That's right, 5th-round knockout. So, yeah, he'd be looking to fight down in 155 for sure. Frivola on the come-up. I think this would be a really interesting fight, too, because Frivola's got solid wrestling himself and can bang on the feet for sure. So, this would be fun. If he goes, or if he stays at 170, he's not ranked up at 170. I'd assume he, just by name alone and what he's done, he's relatively close to the rankings. So another guy in that same area would be Randy Brown. And this would be an interesting fight because Randy Brown would obviously have to keep it on the feet. And he does have some pretty slick submissions, so you never know. But, yeah, it would be RDA trying to get him down and Randy Brown trying to do damage on the feet when he can. And I think it would be an interesting one. And whoever wins would be in a pretty solid spot to look up. Obviously, RDA would probably need one more win. But, yeah, it'd be a good spot for either guy to grab a dub. Next up, Vicente Luque. Great performance coming off of a brutal fight against Jeff Neal where he ended up suffering a brain hemorrhage. He's all healed up. He said he went through some dark times. He was scared for this fight, scared to get hit again. He didn't know how he would react. He didn't know how it would feel. But he comes in, beats RDA in a really grinding type fight. He was able to get his wrestling going once he realized he was the bigger, stronger guy, and RDA couldn't take him down. So he kind of played the Uno reverse card on him, used his own strategy. And, yeah, I don't know if he can fight up yet. He lost to Jeff Neal. He beats RDA, who's a big name, but wasn't in the 170-pound rankings. He beat Barberena before that, but, I mean, Barberena definitely not ranked, so I think Luque will need one more win before he can start to look up again. And a guy who needs a fight right now, I almost said Vicente Luque again, Jack Della Maddalena. Maybe they could get this done for Australia if Luque is down. He didn't really get hit with big shots. I don't know, just because of the brain hemorrhage and he fought so recently. Maybe he's going to be a little bit more careful, take more time off. It's probably the smart thing to do. But if he's cleared and good to go and he wants to, I think this would be a really fun fight to make over in Australia. Obviously, JDM would have to be ready to go. He had that back-and-forth war with Basel Hafez. But even if they can't get it done for Australia, this would be a really fun fight regardless. But yeah, those are all the matchups for UFC Vegas 78. I think a lot of these would be fun and would definitely progress some guys that need wins. Same day as this comes out, so same time you're watching this video will be out. Dana White Contender Series Week 2. I just watched it. I'm going to go through, do a recap, and then I will make some matchups for all the winners, just who I think they should fight in their debut. Every winner got another contract. It was another 5-contract day, but I'll talk about that in the other video. Go check that out. And then Thursday, I'll be making my UFC 292 Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean O'Malley predictions and bets video. This Saturday, UFC 292. I cannot wait. There's a lot of sick fights. Obviously, I'm a big Sugar fan, so I'm real excited for this. But yeah, like this video, subscribe, go check out the Contender Series video, and check back Thursday for this. Peace out.